Oh no. All right, let's try this one more time. Here we go. All right, can you guys see my screen?
I can. Yep.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Well, it's 8:01, and I know Levi from HIP is on the call here. And as we kind of roll this out here, we'll have more callers calling in. But thank you, everyone, for jumping on the call here. I know it was kind of short notice, but wanted to get in front of you guys. I know Chandler's excited to present out on his Greensky. But it's one of those things where we talk about financing, and we talk about how to increase that average ticket size and everything else, and leveraging Greensky is a great example of how to do that. So as Chandler kicks us off, again, I want to thank you all for jumping on the call here. I am recording this, so for those of you who are not able to make it today, I'll go ahead and push this out to you guys as well. So with that, Chandler, if you want to take control of the screen, and I'll let you introduce yourself real quick, and we'll get started.
Awesome. All right, give me a second here, and I'll
Yep,
share.
no problem.
Thanks, Brian, for getting this set up and putting it together. I appreciate that. Levi, thanks for joining. Right now, you're the only one that I see on the call, but I appreciate the time that you're providing here to go through this. Can I ask the question? If you used Greensky before, Levi, are you currently using it? Are you set up with Greensky or no? Maybe muted.
Yeah, I think you're muted, Levi. He's raising his hand, so I'm not sure if maybe maybe what we'll do, Chandler, is we'll just circle back to him. Maybe he's wrapping up with the call or something on his end too. So
I see it. He said his mic is not working in the chat, so I can just kind of continue with running through kind of what I have to be able to showcase. That way you can have it recorded.
That'd be great.
But a couple things that obviously I want to hit on for the sake of the presentation is first and foremost, right, is increasing average tickets with so many of you guys doing window replacement as well as exterior remodeling. There's always potential of cross-selling and potential of doing things in stages, right? So a lot of how Greensky is built is built to be able to help you do that, right? And why to trust Greensky, right? I've said this before, but Greensky is the largest home improvement finance company, right? Looking at the numbers that we produced in 2020, the data that we've compiled together is incomparable in the industry. So what we have to offer is really showing you a clear and good model of what consumer behavior looks like and how to leverage a financing program to increase sales and ticket sizes. A few of the things that I'm sure that you can find that are different in how Greensky does things. There's several here on this list. Obviously, credit limits up to 65,000 gives you plenty of work room to do large and massive projects, and not just do the window replacement, but also do siding, roofing, etc. Right? And with that pairs a couple of things. One, leverage our 6-month promotions, right? Our 6-month purchase windows. That gives you plenty of time to not feel like, hey, at this time of the sale, you first have to sell everything, right? I know a lot of customers like to do things in stages, whether that's let's do the window replacement first and then come back later and do the roofing, right? With our 6-month purchase windows, you can take your time on that and also give consistent and quality customer follow-ups with that. That's going to pair very nicely with the approved for more feature that Greensky has. And I'm going to get into that during this presentation as well, showing you some statistics on approved for more and how Greensky is already working to help you increase your average tickets without having to do much, right? Let's continue on through the presentation so we get to that slide and we can talk about that.
Yeah.
But
hey, good morning, Chandler. I'm sorry, I just dialed in on my phone here so you could actually hear me too. So sorry about that. And see, since I'm the only one, just a little heads up, you'd asked if we had used Greensky before, and we actually had. Unfortunately, I think we got signed up literally about 30 days before the COVID experience hit. And just the way things worked, I think our account was just terminated right out of the bat just because I know business works like business. So we were kind of new kids on the block and hadn't really used it yet. And they probably were kind of keeping tabs on their credit outlay. But so, yeah, we'd actually been signed up and approved and through Greensky, and we just never actually had the opportunity to use it.
I hear you. And that was the case. I mean, it was a different time, right? And that unfortunately that did happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We're here to work with you whenever you can. I'm certainly would like to explore rekindling that partnership and producing something in terms of a working relationship that helps to drive revenue for you guys moving forward.
Absolutely.
That'll probably be a conversation you and I have, Levi, after this call. Certainly, you all have my contact information put up here at the end of this presentation so that you can get in touch with me and maybe we can schedule some time to talk about that. And then we can go from there. How does that sound?
Excellent.
Awesome. So ideally, look, this is why we're doing this, right? This slide right here is just speaking to the customers that you're talking to day in, day out. First and foremost, I always like to touch on the top box on the left-hand side, which is showcasing 57% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. This is a staggering statistic, and there's two parts to it. I think in one facet that this is true. People don't save their money too well, and they don't have a lot built up in savings. But then I also do think that a lot of other affluent type customers aren't putting as much into savings accounts anymore as they are into investments, right? So that particular savings account may not have that much money, but customers have their money tied up in investments and things like that. When that's the case, those are the customers that we look at as cash customers, right? Those are the customers that oftentimes you're chasing to write you a check because you look at them and you feel as if that's an affluent customer. However, that customer would benefit from our promotional type options because now you're giving them the ability to hold on to their money without them having to move it around from those accounts, right? They can let it grow over time. It's the simple concept of time value of money. So in those particular instances, there's a plan for that customer that meets their specific needs. Now, who's to say, yeah, they could write you the money, or write you the check for the money, but that customer does not want to do that ideally. And really no customer does. I don't think anybody's jumping at the bit trying to write a check for $10, $15, $20,000, right? So, and really promoting a healthy mix of financing options in your sales process is going to help not only that aspect of it, but the sticker shock that customers experience when they see these high value, high ticketed items, right? In addition to that, in your industry, your average tickets are significantly higher than most. And we see on the right-hand side here, 75% of projects over 2,500 are financed. In many cases, and Levi, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but in many cases, your ticket sizes are probably 4 or 5 times that size, right? And so leveraging the financing programs that Greensky has to offer through our great relationship with Pella is going to give you that advantage in being able to close more of those deals. And here's the other aspect, right? And a lot of times how financing is presented within home improvement, it's not offered up front. The merchant, the dealer, the sales rep is waiting until the customer asks them for financing, but they're not going to in many cases, right? A lot of times customers don't know how to ask for financing. I always give the example, it's like going to a restaurant. You look at the menu, what's on the menu is what you're going to order, right? Same thing's true. How you tell the customer they have the ability to pay is how they're going to think that they have to pay you, right? If financing isn't brought up until the customer has to ask for it, many times that customer is not even going to bring it up because they just don't know how to ask for it. Secondly, a lot of sales that go unclosed are sales that could have been closed when you had offered financing, right? That customer gets cold feet because they're looking at a $13,000 ticket and financing was never brought up. And they just tell you, they're not going to tell you, hey, no, man, this is too expensive. They're going to say, let me think about it. And we all know what let me think about it means in sales, right? Especially in home improvement. Let me think about it is the nice way of get the heck out of my house, right? Those customers end up, getting cold feet and walking away versus that situation could have been resolved up front if the customer had have acknowledged and known that there was payment options and other ways that they could potentially afford this work, right? Not only that, right? Customers kind of expect this point of sale financing in the retail experience that we see today. Here's just several examples, right? Oftentimes you'll see me when I do trainings, I ask people to hold up their smartphones in a meeting, right? We all have smartphones at this point, right? And a lot of people, I would guarantee you, maybe even most of us on this call, pay monthly for our smartphone. That's financing, right? You pay whatever it is you pay per month, you're financing that smartphone, right? And the crazy thing is about that is, when iPhone first came out, it was already very expensive. I think the first one was like 300, 400 bucks. Now it's over $1,000, right? So they didn't make their product cheaper. They actually made their product, twice as expensive. But they're utilizing a financing method so that customers pay monthly for it, and they don't ever think about the $1,000. They're thinking about the 25 bucks a month that they pay for their phone. It's just lumped into their bill, right? Jewelry, your car, right? These are all examples of where financing is prevalent today, and your ticket sizes replicate these industries, right? I wouldn't take too much time on this slide, but this is just showcasing the average loan amount by business size in 2020. And as you can see, there's a clear ramp that the Greensky is projecting on with companies as they grow, right? As they grow, you get more comfortable positioning payment options, you get more opportunities, your ticket sizes grow, right? And that's by leveraging some of the aspects that I mentioned prior, in terms of approved for more, leveraging purchase windows, taking advantage of the credit opportunities that were in front of you. Now, it's important to be able to do this effectively that you don't rely on just one plan because we have multiple types of customers, right? So this is a snapshot of plan usage amongst the entire Greensky network. And there's two things that I want to highlight here. One, the green section, the no interest, no payments. That's 42% of how customers buy using Greensky, right? That's, your 12 months, no interest, no payment. Your 18 months, no interest, no payment. Those type of options are used 40% of the time. And then the second largest piece of that is reduced rate interest rate loans. That's 33%. And those are the loans that we focus on to make sure that we're able to quote a customer a specific monthly payment, right? So that you can walk into the home and not lead with, hey, this is going to cost you 10 grand. Rather, you can say, hey, your monthly investment would be $132 a month, right? That sounds a lot better to the buyer than asking them for $10,000 out of pocket. Now, if that person's going to write you a check, guess what? They're going to tell you they're going to write you a check. Leading in with these options does you no harm in asking the customer, hey, will a monthly payment of $132 a month work for you? Or would you be interested in our 12-month no interest, no payment option? Right? What they're going to come back and tell you is, hey, I plan on writing you a check. What is the total cost for the job? And at that point, they're going to let you know. In my experience in this industry, I have never once seen anybody get kicked out of a home for offering either one of those options. Right? The customer's just going to come back and tell you that's not how they anticipated paying. Now, I can say all of these things and tell you that this is how you're supposed to do it, and this is what you should do when you're in the home, but why should you do it, right? So here's some snapshots on average loan amounts. The first thing that I see whenever I talk to businesses that may be looking and chasing customers that write checks, one, the first thing that you're doing when you do that is you're limiting the sale, right? You're limiting the sale, and a lot of times you may be sacrificing your price integrity too, because oftentimes cash customers are trying to write checks. You're going to ask for discounts, etc., right? Things like that. When you offer Greensky up front, and this is specific to Greensky because we're, to my knowledge, the only company that does this. When you offer Greensky up front, there's a very good chance that we approve your customer for more than what they're requesting, right? So this snapshot showing an average requested amount versus the actual approved amount. And you'll see it's an extra, on average, it's an extra $3,000 to $4,000 more. That's typically what I see. And in that $3,000 to $4,000 extra, then gives you the opportunity to discuss additional options with that customer, right? Or, as I mentioned earlier, leveraging that 6-month purchase window to do things in stages, right? Do the window replacement first, come back and do the siding, right? There's several options that you have there in doing that. And you'll see that it works, right? The box on the right-hand side, Greensky consumers spent nearly $140 million more than requested in 2020. And we all know 2020, was a interesting year to say the least. So I would expect and anticipate those numbers to actually be higher in 2021. We'll know more whenever they come out. We take a look at that. But this is for remodeling purposes. I know I included a snapshot for roofing purposes as well. Same thing is true here, $3,000 to $4,000 extra, right? And then it's consistent amongst the windows and doors industry also. I think this is a very realistic part of my presentation because these are things that I've heard from contractors throughout my experience of working and why they don't feel comfortable offering payment options, right? There's a few things I wanted to highlight in here. One, offering financing is insulting. That's the first thing I hear. So people think that, if I'm offering this customer a monthly payment or a promotional loan, I'm insulting them by doing so. And I don't think that this is actually a myth. I think that offering financing can be insulting depending on how you do it. And it's two different ways. If I say to the customer, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, price of the job is going to be $10,000. Your monthly investment's $132 a month, or you can take advantage of this no interest promotion we have running, right? That's not bad. I just said every single option that you have to pay. Now you get to choose how you're going to pay. But if I go to the customer and I say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, the price of the job is $10,000. Oh, and by the way, we have financing if you need it, right? The way I say it in that particular instance, I'm assuming something about that customer versus the presentation I gave the first time is just providing and laying out the options for the customer, right? So I would argue that, yeah, it can be insulting depending on how you present it, but that's why we train our dealers to be intentional in what you're offering so that you can take advantage of that. And it's not insulting the customer, it's merely just giving them the options that they have for the job. Another thing that's very realistic, financing expenses can reduce margins or commissions on jobs, right? So a lot of times this is closely related to the fact that Greensky has fees, right? Greensky's got to make money on what we do. And so there are merchant fees for the loans being used. I understand that. I work hand in hand with helping companies to build in those costs into your estimates Or you can look at it one way. You can look at it that way. You can build in the cost for the jobs, or you can look at it as the way for you closing jobs that you wouldn't have closed otherwise, right? Or you can look at it as the way that you got that higher average ticket up because you were utilizing financing, right? You're making more money on each job because you're leveraging your financing options. However, every single partner that I've worked with successfully has built in these costs to their overhead so that it doesn't affect your margin or commission if you're a sales rep, right?
Hey Chandler, can you give us like an example of how contractors are doing that? I know when I talk about, financing and in this subject here, we talk about, hey, if the merchant rate's like 10%, let's just say, then you front load that job by 10. And then if they don't need financing, then you can give them a 10% discount if they sign today. Is that something that other contractors are doing, or is that a good way of doing it or a bad way of doing it? Or maybe give us some guidance on that.
Yeah, so I don't think there's anything wrong with doing it that way. I don't think it's the best way of doing it, in my experience. One, what you're doing when you do it that way is I call that the cash discount method, right? It's essentially a cash discount. And so you have that built in there. And a lot of times if you have sales reps that they feel like they have to get discounts to win jobs, they're always going to try to get that 10% discount. And what you're doing when you do that, you're limiting the sale. And then you're sacrificing your price integrity because of that, right? There's actually an easier way to build it in where you're not building in as much. And you can just leave the cost in there every time and leverage your promotions and your payment options to not only help close those sales, but hopefully drive your ticket sizes up in that instance, right? As soon as you accept a discount, what you're doing is limiting any additional work being done, right? That customer is already seeking the cheapest option in terms of paying outright versus they can make their money work for them and purchase more from you at that given moment or over time. So what I typically train to is a method called blended cost method. And blended cost method takes your average cost of financing and then spreads it out over the entire customer base that you'd experience in a year or over time, right? So for example, let's say my average cost of financing was 10%. If that's the case, let's assume that 30% of my business is finance, right? So I would then multiply 10% by that 30% number. I'm going to get 3%, right? 3% is what I actually have to build in to my overhead and just leave that number in there because every customer is going to account for it, whether they're writing you a check, whether they're paying financing, et cetera. They're all paying for it, but you're not increasing your margin. Where this is prevalent in pretty much every other industry as well. I like to give the grocery store method as an example. So let's just take, for example, we all go to the grocery store and we all buy milk, right? We're all going for the same thing. We get the same brand of milk and we go to the register. I pay with cash, you guys pay with card, right? We all pay the same thing. When we look at our receipt, we pay the same amount, right? But I know for a fact that Walmart's and Publix and Kroger's and all those places, they get charged for credit card processing, right? When you swipe that card, they're getting dinged with a 2-3% fee. But I didn't get charged that because I paid with my card, right? It's blended across the board. If you pay however way, you're paying 1% of that credit card processing fee, right? And so basically what that does over time is it creates a wash. So those expenses actually don't come out of the company's pocket. It's covered by their consumer base as a whole. And a lot of times what that's doing is it helps you to not have to really bump your prices up by a lot. 10% is a big number to try to increase prices up from. And it allows you to do blended costs at a much lower value. Is that helpful? Does that make sense in how I kind of position that?
Yeah, it does. Yep.
Okay, and a lot of times too, look, the 10% average fee is that's high. I mean, that's a high number. I think a lot of times your average cost of financing is nearly around 6-7%. So when you're looking at that, those numbers that you're blending in are actually a lot lower than that, than 3% even. So it's a conversation piece, right? Anybody that wants additional help with that, it's more of a kind of working through it conversation. So feel free to get with me on that if you need additional help. I'm certainly capable of doing that. So to that point, right? Look, another resistance to offering payment options. I need discounts to close the sale, right? So in that same regard, that 10% discount, I mean, it is true. Customers are looking for discounts anywhere they go, right? They're looking for something, right? 12 months, no interest, no payment is a great way to give that customer a promotion, give that customer something that is of interest to them, rather than discounting the price. Me as a customer, I'm that type of customer. I have money in investments, right? I've got money all over the place. I could, if I needed to, I could probably front the expense for a job. But if somebody's offering me the ability to keep my money invested for 12 months, I mean, my idea is that I can make more money on that investment by just leaving it put than taking it out and even getting a discount, right? It's better for me to do that. That's a deal for me as that customer, right? And then secondly, and that's why we're here today is, if people aren't comfortable with financing. And the greatest thing about Greensky is that we have a one-on-one relationship. I think this past year we just got our surveys back from dealers that we work with, and the number one thing that our partners said about why they like Greensky is because they have somebody specialized to work with, right? There's a one-on-one relationship there, and I do the consulting, I do the trainings for companies, and that's something that not anybody, and not really anybody, offers at this point in time in our industry. So we're here to help you sharpen that sales strategy, like it says there, and I'm certainly available at any time to do that. Last two things, I only have high-end, well-off customers. 50% of Greensky customers prefer a deferred interest program, right? What I just talked about, 12 months, no interest, no payment. Those customers are high-end, well-off customers, right? They're affluent customers because they understand time value of money, right? We leverage them. Those are your best customers that will give you higher average tickets. That's the customer that you offer them that promotion. You're not just selling the windows, but you're selling that siding, or you're selling upgraded windows, right? Or you're selling not just the windows in the front of the house, but the windows in the back of the house too, right? That's that customer that you really want to be trying to leverage a promotion to get them to spend more with you, right? Rather than trying to get them to discount, take a cash discount and just do the work that's set in front of them. And then secondly, all my customers pay cash, right? I like this one. When people tell me, hey, all my customers pay cash, it usually means, yeah, the customers that are doing business with you, sure. But what about the customers that aren't doing business with you, right? Those customers didn't write you a check, likely because you didn't have the means to support what they were doing, what they wanted to be done, and they walked to somebody else that did have financing options and offered it to them, and went with that business. So when you say all my customers pay cash, likely that's talking about only the customers you closed. Where Greensky wants to help you close those customers that didn't write you a check, that you didn't hear back from, right? We're here to do that as well. To close off here, I got a couple more slides. I'll try to run through it as quickly as I can. I know we got 2 minutes, but ideally, there's two things you need to remember about buyers: monthly payment buyers and promotional buyers, right? It's either a budget buyer or a cash paying customer, right? Somebody that would normally, they could pay cash, but they understand time value of money and they're wanting their money to work for them. That's why we see that split early on in the presentation. I showed you that graph, and our two largest percentages of plan usage are on promotional loans, no interest, no payment, and reduced rate interest rates, the plans that give customers a low monthly payment. Types of loans in that aspect, we've got no interest with payment, no interest, no payment, like I said, and then monthly payment options. There's zero interest options that give customers monthly payments, but largely reduced rate interest rate loans are used for that aspect alone. Here's a quick example, right? This is a quick example of how we would do a potential plan selection, right? You have your 12 and 18-month no interest, no payment plans. And then this particular example selects the three 6.99% options that we have to offer, right? And why we do that in that specific plan selection is to give customers options. I went through it this way, right? It's going to be $10,000, Mr. and Mrs. Customer. You can pay 151 bucks a month or leverage our 12-month no interest, no payment promotion. But what's even better is whenever you start layering your options and giving customers multiple things to choose from, because you'll see here that you can leverage your payment options to give customers a difference of monthly payment, right? Rather than asking for the customer for $5,000 more in this instance, what if you're able to just tell them, hey, it's only $24 more a month? Right? That's a lot easier to swallow as a customer than $5,000 increases. Right? I can afford $24 a month, no problem. Most customers will be able to do the same. And so giving them that option is a lot easier of a sale and in terms of upsell capability than asking the customer outright for an additional $5,000 increase. Right? And that's why we use monthly payment options. And you can typically see this done in a good, better, best model, right? So looking at it this way, you're good. Your base model is $7,500. It's 117 bucks a month, or you can use that 12-month no interest, no payment program, right? The better option, it's $10,000. It's only $4 more a month, right? For a $2,500 increase, or they can use a 12-month no interest, no payment. Or if you want to sell your best ticketed item, right? It's only $18 more a month, or 18 months no interest, no payment option, right? Giving them that longest promotion, that best promotion you have. This is all a customizable part of the process, right? Each dealer, I know this is using their own plans. There's plenty of plans that Greensky has that'll work for any business wanting to utilize the program. And that's part of my conversation in working with contractors is to build out a strategy that works for their business. So just taking the Greensky programs that are available and picking ones that we feel that would work best. So any questions before I guess I get out of here?
Hey, Chandler, real quick, thank you again for your time. But maybe can you speak to how easy, it is to do business with you? I mean, as far as just the simple mobile app, how does, Levi or Wade or someone is in the home, and how do they basically kind of start to finish? And how long does it take? How easy is it? You know what I'm saying? Just to kind of paint that picture.
Yeah, I mean, 90 seconds, right? So I always just say 90 seconds because that's how quick it is. It should be for you to run through a mobile application and get an approval on a loan, right? So if you're using the mobile app, great. That's what I would say the best way to get a customer approved. And it's going to take no time at all, right? I mean, the fact that we don't require signatures and paperwork and things like that, no proof of income, none of that stuff that you typically see from getting a traditional loan, right? It's very quick and easy approvals. So, and you see that approval while you're in the home, which is nice because now you know what direction to head. So you could be talking to that customer and right there on your phone or tablet, it pops up and shows the customer they've been approved for $5,000, $10,000 more than they requested, right? Now you're talking about doing additional work for that customer at some point in time, and you're making more a bigger sale for yourself as a rep and for the business. It's something that I train on. So again, don't feel like, hey, here's Greensky, good luck, have fun. You get training on the mobile application from myself or a specified Greensky individual. And the mobile application is not the only way to apply. So if you go to a customer and they don't want to put anything in on your phone or tablet, they can call Greensky or they can apply online. We can actually get your website fitted with a web button that lists the plans that you're offering through Greensky, and the customer can just go to your website, click on the specific plan they want to apply for, and do it then. That's super easy as well. And then, like I said, they can just call Greensky if they wanted to apply. But I mean, you're talking about going in the customer's home, scanning the back of their driver's license, right? That puts in all their information that they've got to have. They put in social, mobile, email, and stated income, and that's it. That's from a customer perspective, that's all they're inputting in terms of information onto the application. Scan driver's license and those items, right? So in terms of simplicity, yeah, that's pretty simple. That's about as easy as it's going to get.
That's wonderful. And I see that you have your contact information up here as well. So if anybody has any questions at all, feel free to reach out to Chandler. He's more than willing to assist you with any questions or help navigate through the Greensky application. So with that, hey, I want to thank everyone for jumping on the call. Chandler, thank you so much for spending your time with us here this morning. Really appreciate it. And like I said before, I am recording this call. So for those of you who are not on the call today, I can go ahead and push that out to you. And I'll close with this. Leverage Greensky. So if there's an opportunity for you guys to brush up on just how to leverage financing, how to take advantage of all the great rates and great offerings, and then Chandler then can help with how to have that talk track with your customers. We can definitely help you, and we want to make sure that you guys are successful out there. And with that, thanks again for your time, and we'll talk soon. Okay, thanks everyone.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, fellas.